right? Like you go into a clothing store and you see it's almost all made of plastic. And
Right.
there are studies that show that those various plastics leach out chemicals that get absorbed through
Wow.
the skin, right?
You know, I realized that the other day because in my search, everyone keeps saying your skin is the largest organ. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what have I been putting on my skin?
Yeah, well, all those cosmetic products and personal hygiene products. I mean, if you look at the ingredients on some of those, there you can look up what's called a MSDS, or a material data safety sheet.
Okay.
And it's like for every chemical or industrial chemical that you could buy, like to put in a product or whatever, there's one for it. And so you just look at the label on your shampoo bottle, or your foundation or whatever it is, and look up some of those chemicals, and you'll see that they're, you know, carcinogenic, or they're toxic to the kidney or the liver, and such like that. Like the information's right out there, but they put it in small quantities, or they get some exception, or they label it a certain way that they don't have to disclose it. And so you're just getting like hundreds of these things throughout the day. And then I'm not even didn't even get to the food supply,
Right.
because they basically, like, all the processed food has tons of chemicals. When they like make things out of corn or soy, for example, like tofu, they actually use organic solvents like hexane, right, which is like in gasoline, and to extract the protein out to make the tofu. And you're getting
So
residue of
even
that
if we
in the
think we're eating the healthy life with alternative meats, it's still like, oh, but wait, there's more.
Oh yeah, actually, one of the most unhealthy things are those fake vegan meats, because they're all made with chemical processes. They're not natural at all.
You know what's so
So
funny? Because during this whole, crazy days, um, I've been going into, do you know Dr. Sebi?
yes, I'm familiar with Dr. Sebi's work.
So I've been watching his videos and I'm like, Maya, you need to eat more like whole fruits and vegetables, which I haven't. And then I started to side eye the alternatives because I'm like, this is almost like too good to be true. There
Yeah,
we
no,
have
I mean, just cleaning up your what you eat, which by my definition would be, cutting out processed foods. So anything in a package practically with more than one ingredient. So like, packaged food that's good is like dried kidney beans.
it. Mhm.
Like that would be a good food. Make sure you soak them first to
Right.
remove the lectins. But whole foods in their natural state, as they look in nature, and not grown by being doused with a bunch of chemicals. So
Right.
you really do need to get organic, because, like, especially that glyphosate, the Roundup, it kills the bacteria in our intestines, in our GI tract.
Sorry,
Uh,
rewind. That kills
yeah.
which? What does?
The Roundup that they use for all of the big crops, like all the GMO crops, like corn, for example, and wheat,
Okay.
um, it actually gets into the plant matter itself. So you eat it when you eat those plants produced that way. It doesn't, like, just touch the surface and wash off. It actually gets absorbed. And, there's studies that have shown that. And that chemical disrupts a pathway that's common between plants and bacteria, because plants and bacteria are actually closely related to each other. Like, just think about like algae.
Mhm.
They're kind of like plant bacteria that are even green. So that chemical system is in the bacteria in our guts, the ones that make us healthy. And so when you're eating stuff that has the Roundup in it, it's disrupting those populations, and then that could cause all kinds of problems. Like, some people call it leaky gut. I don't like that term, but a lot of issues could be, just from eating that stuff.
Okay. So this is not the documentary of Maya and Dr. Andy. So what are some books or sources that you went to that helped you on your journey? Because I imagine you started in the system and now you're,
Yeah,
opening
absolutely.
your mind up to alternative ways. So where can we get information?
Well, I'll tell you the first book, because since my clinical practice has been in psychiatry,
Mm-hmm.
I heard of this book called The Mind of Your Own by Dr. Kelly Brogan. And we actually both went to the same college. So there was like some kind of instant, connection I felt there. And she practiced psychiatry in the mainstream just like I did, and also just noticed that the psychiatric drugs were really not helping people.
Mm-hmm.
And so she did a mentorship with this other famous doctor, Nicholas Gonzalez, and unfortunately he has died unexpectedly at a young age, but he was using nutritional protocols to cure people from cancer. And he was having excellent results. You guys could definitely find information on him, Nicholas Gonzalez. And
he died unexpectedly?
Yes, he did. He died of unexpectedly of a heart attack.
Okay.
So, there may be some suspicion around that, but I don't want to,
right.
I don't want to develop any theories, but nonetheless, he made a major contribution to the knowledge. And so what Dr. Brogan did is that she adapted that nutritional protocol to psychiatry. And I read this and I was just blown away, because she also went through all the science on antidepressants showing how they don't work. And she did a brilliant job, reviewing that scientific literature, because I had already studied it, and, she didn't miss anything that I was aware of. And I found out about a couple of extra things. So I definitely recommend that book. It was a Times bestseller. So I got inspired to see if I could try using her protocol. And so what happened is a social worker I used to work with got in touch with me, asking me, hey, do you know a good psychiatrist? And apparently she was suffering with this anxiety issue for 20 years and had tried everything, even had all kinds of medical workups, for heart arrhythmias and stuff. And so she was willing to try this, and we actually did it together. I did the protocol. It's a pretty
of being aware of your own body, because some people are not aware enough to look back and say, what did I do? What did I eat? And the ownership is kind of dismissed, and it's just go to the doctor, you tell me what's wrong, versus let's be mindful and pay attention to our own selves and seeing what we can do. We should be experts in the bodies we're occupying.
Yeah, you brought up an excellent point. And actually, when I went through that experience and went through the 30 days, what happened is then I before that, I was eating so much, stuff that was not good. Processed food, restaurant food, sweets, putting, sugar in my coffee, stuff like that, that I couldn't really tell what was what. I knew I didn't feel good a lot of the time. I had reflux issues and stuff like that, but I didn't really know what was causing it, because I was eating so much bad stuff that was all fuzzy and clouded together. But after that 30 days, I did introduce one thing at a time. Mm-hmm. And then I could tell, because I had that ability to be mindful about the food, and I would eat something and I would know right away, oh man, that my body does not like that. And some things were surprising. I had just